September heat wave continues this weekend and into next week, but is a cool down on the way? We'll answer that question. More severe weather is in the picture and a tropical storm system to watch next week. We're going to be breaking down each of those details in today's weather forecast. Welcome back, everyone, to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage on this Saturday, September 21st, 2024. And tomorrow is fall equinox, so definitely getting closer to fall. And make sure to subscribe to the channel down below for the latest weather information, including videos, live streams, and everything that you need to know. We're getting very close to 100,000 subscribers, so if you subscribe, you help me out in getting closer to that goal. Make sure to like the video by giving it a thumbs up down below, and also leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll always get to those after my videos. So let's look here at our temperature anomalies for late September standards. We're still pretty warm across eastern Canada, especially Ontario and Quebec, Canada. Areas up there up to 25 degrees above the norm for late September here this weekend, and that extends down through the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, all the way back toward the southern plains through this weekend. But a cold front is knocking on the door across the plains, and that's leading to some cooler than normal temperature anomalies across the Rockies and out west, with temperature anomalies approaching 20 degrees below normal this weekend. So let's look at those high temperatures this afternoon. In the warm sector, we're all the way into the 80s, all the way up to the Twin Cities and Minneapolis, St. Paul. We are into the 80s, 87 on the Chicago lakefront this afternoon, and 94 steamy there in St. Louis, 92 in the Music City in Nashville this afternoon. And when you throw a little bit of that humidity out there, it starts to feel a little sticky, and you can see heat index values into the triple digits in some areas for Tulsa, for the Fort Smith, Arkansas area, for Dallas-Fort Worth at 100 degrees this afternoon. And then as we go into Sunday, that cold front is going to shift a little bit further off to the east and look at 80s today, but we're only in the 50s and 60s across the Midwest tomorrow afternoon. So a stark difference between today and tomorrow, and you can see those heat index values back into the mid and upper 90s, especially across the deep south and southeast as we go into Sunday afternoon. So all of this heat did lead to some severe weather in pockets yesterday on your Friday of September 20th. We did see some wind reports up here into Montana, saw a lot of wind reports there in central Kansas, a few of those into Indiana as well, and some rogue storm reports from Minnesota down even into Arkansas yesterday too. We do have a couple pockets of severe weather possible again today. This is for a marginal risk, level 1 out of 5 in the dark green area from Pennsylvania back into parts there of the panhandle of West Virginia, western Maryland, and northern Virginia. We also have another area from western Wisconsin all the way down to northeast Kansas. And then we have a slight risk down here, level 2 out of 5 on the risk scale from eastern and southeastern New Mexico into the western Texas panhandle, and that could include more damaging winds, large hail, and a very low tornado risk today in all those areas. So this afternoon, notice storm coverage is pretty isolated to widely scattered, so of course not everybody will be seeing those thunderstorms, but one or two of those could become severe, and then a little bit more upward growth of some of these showers and storms with more moisture surging up from the southwest here as we go into the evening hours. So some rogue storms from the upper peninsula of Michigan through the Badger State of Wisconsin all the way down into the Amarillo area, into the Texas Panhandle this evening, and then we'll continue with those showers and storms rumbling along, mainly with heavy rainfall as we go into after midnight. This is into your early Sunday morning. So any church services that you're attending Sunday morning, going to get pretty rainy over here into the Midwest and into the Central Plains. And looking at the day on Sunday, tomorrow, we have a level 1 out of 5 marginal risk from just outside the St. Louis area there in southern Missouri, all the way back into West Texas, Northwest Texas, and central Oklahoma. And that could again include some more damaging winds, large hail, and a very low tornado risk. So here we go. Sunday afternoon, isolated, widely scattered storms from the Great Lakes region through Chicagoland all the way down here into portions of Wichita Falls, Texas. And then as we go into the evening hours, finally some rainfall down here in central Texas where we need it. We're definitely going to be getting some Sunday evening, and then that'll continue even into early Monday morning. So a lot of these areas will be seeing some pretty beneficial rains. I know a lot of these areas are in drought. So from the Illinois Valley all the way back through Missouri there, especially Missouri there, getting over 2 inches worth of rain. And then another swath of 2 inches are in and around the Texas Panhandle, into the Amarillo area, West Texas, through your Monday morning commute. This goes through September 23rd. Now, as we go into next week, the weather pattern here is going to be cooling off for a lot of us. We got that trough continuing to hang out across the central and the eastern U.S. with the ridge over the top there across the southern Canadian prairies, and that's going to lead to a lot of cooler temperatures here, more seasonable for this time of year to even below normal. So Monday afternoon, we're into the 60s, and that's all we can muster for most of the central U.S., especially across the northern and central plains, the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, and even the Northeast as well. The only game in town with heat will be across the Southeast into the 80s, maybe touching into the low 90s Monday afternoon. We get rid of that very quickly Wednesday. Look at that, 70s, beautiful conditions across the middle of the country by midweek, and then the end of the week, besides some 80s and 90s down here towards Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, Florida, we're back into the 60s, we're back into the 70s to end the work week on Friday afternoon, September 27th. Precipitation prospects through next week will be across portions of the Northeast, the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, all the way back toward Texas here in the Lone Star State, and whatever comes of our tropical system we're about to talk about into the Gulf Coast. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. So let's walk you through that on Monday. We could be seeing some heavier showers from portions of Lake Erie, Lake Huron, all the way back here into portions of the southern plains. That'll continue. Pretty wet day on Tuesday for the Ohio Valley, but drying out further to the west. Wednesday comes around. We got a wet day across the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Make sure to get those umbrellas handy. And yes, we have some showers and storms possible in Texas and even eastern Texas as we go into Wednesday. Thursday, it looks like a pretty dry day across most of the country except for the lower Mississippi Valley or the Northeast, like Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Hartford area into Connecticut there and Rhode Island. Going to get pretty wet there on Thursday. And then as we go into Friday, pretty dry, although a new storm system will start to develop further west on Friday, maybe affecting Seattle and Portland with some showers and maybe some higher elevation snows for British Columbia, Canada as well, outside the Vancouver area for Friday. Rainfall amounts, again, averaging around 1 to 3 inches where we get the nice soaking here, the heaviest of which could be from Portland, Maine, down to Boston, Hartford there. We could be seeing locally over 3 inches worth of rainfall through next week over there. Otherwise, some spotty areas of 1 to 3 inches along the way from the Mid-Atlantic back through the Ohio Valley and into the southern plains. Now, this is an area that needs the rainfall, okay? So like Ohio, West Virginia, yes, we need the rain. We are in extreme, exceptional drought becoming widespread in these areas, and this is a concern. So hopefully this rainfall will put a decent dent in our drought. It's not going to completely get rid of the drought, but it's going to definitely hopefully put a nice dent in the drought as we go in towards next week. National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida is painting a lot of areas of interest here in their latest tropical weather outlook. 3 lemons out here into portions of the Atlantic Basin. This is really all fish storm activity out here. The most concerning is near the Yucatan and into the Central Gulf, where they have upped the probability to a 60% chance of development. So that's greater than a flip of a coin, folks. And it is in an area where we are favorable for some stronger systems to develop if they occur over water. Very warm sea surface temperatures here, well into the 80s, and those shelf waters even warmer than that. So looking at a couple model runs, the ECMWF, this is the European model, on Wednesday, the middle of next week, low pressure system tries to develop somewhere around the Yucatan Peninsula. Develops more over the open waters. We showed you how warm they were in the Central Gulf by next Friday, on Friday, September 27th, probably as a tropical depression, and then moving in towards that tropical storm hurricane strength and rapidly intensifying on the European model as it moves up toward the Big Bend of Florida as a pretty sizable hurricane. Now, looking at the GFS model, the American model guidance, very similar starting with this. On Wednesday, September 25th, you have a low pressure system developing in and around the Yucatan Peninsula there, and it gets very strong, but also moves very quickly. The timing is significantly different on this model. Moves it inland on Friday, whereas the other one, the European, moves it on land on Sunday, just 2 days later. So there are some significant timing differences here. So let's look at the ensemble guidance when there's major timing differences. This is what we look at. The middle of next week, around the Yucatan Peninsula, and you can see it ranges from north north of the Yucatan to east of the Yucatan where this low pressure center could develop. And that could mean a lot of differences in where this system goes and the strength of the system. Because obviously over land, it's not going to develop that strong quite yet. And over water, we've showed you those warm sea surface temperatures. It could definitely strengthen a lot quicker over those warm waters. And then look at next weekend. I mean, folks, literally the low pressure center, it could be as far north as Nashville, Tennessee, or as far south and west as eastern Mexico. We just don't know where this low pressure system will go as we go into next weekend. So there's still a lot of things that we have to look at here with the track of the system, where it goes especially, and how strong it gets as we go into next weekend. And we'll keep you covered for you right here on this channel. Make sure to subscribe to the channel down below for the latest weather information right at your fingertips, whether it's a video, a live stream, anything like that. Make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. We will keep you covered throughout the rest of the year here. Make sure to like the video by giving it a thumbs up down below. Very important there. Make sure to leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll get to those later on today, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their weekend out there.